and welcome to today's episode of How the Game Was Won. Today we're looking at a game played between Victor Bologan and Wojtaszek that happened at the European Team Championships that was played in Moldova, Poland, way back on the 14th of November 2015. And without further ado, let's get stuck into how the game played itself out, especially through the opening moves. We had obviously e4, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3, a6, bishop e3. Bologan chooses the English attack against the knight of defense, continuing with e5, knight b3, bishop e6, f3, h5, which is a logical move to prevent white expanding with something along the lines of g2, g4. Continuing queen d2, knight bd7, knight d5, bishop takes on d5, e takes on d5, g6. This is all mainline theory, with Bologan himself having played 3 games against Moller, Essen and Dominguez with exactly this line. Continuing bishop e2, bishop g7, castles, b6. This obviously being played with the intention to prevent something along the lines of knight f5. Continuing c4, castles, rook ac1, knight h7, bishop d3, f5, bishop e1, rook c8, king h1, a5, a4, knight c5, knight takes on c5, b takes on c5, and white has got a really comfortable position with his 2 bishops, but sooner or later he'll have to break through on the king's side with something along the lines of for instance, g4, and open up the scope for his bishops to be able to really work properly. Bologan feels that this is the right moment to do exactly this critical move, being g4. At the moment it's still unclear whether this is a premature break or not, and maybe some preparation before breaking out would have been better. But anyway, the game continued with h takes on g4, f takes on g4, e4, g takes on f5, g takes on f5, rook g1, king g8, sorry, king h8 should I say, rook takes on g7, and such sacrifices are just about as natural as a baby smile for a player of Bologan's type of ability. King takes on g7, queen g2 with check, king h8, bishop d2, queen h4, and bishop c3 with check. Here, for instance, if Bologan had gone along the lines of, instead of playing bishop c3, something like, for instance, rook g1, queen g4, bishop c3 check, knight f6, queen f1, queen f3, queen takes on f3, e takes on f3, rook g6 would have been most definitely the fastest route through for the victory. But Bologan instead played the very natural looking bishop c3 with check, forcing knight f6, rook f1, rook c to e8, rook takes on f5, e3, queen f3, and here Wojtaszek played rook e5. Even if he played something like e2, for instance, rook h5 check would have been able to be played, king g8, and the queen drops on h4. So Wojtaszek played rook e5, allowing bishop takes on e5, d takes on e5, and queen takes on e3 with a really strong advantage to white. If you see here, white is 2 pawns up and the black king is completely exposed in the corner. Game continues with knight g4, rook takes on f8 with check, king g7, queen e2, king f8, bishop f5, and knight takes on h2. And Wojtaszek sacrifices his knight for the h2 pawn in the hopes of getting some sort of a line of perpetual check, hoping that Bologan will go for something like Instead he could have gone for something like knight f2 with king g2, but it would have been effectively the same foregone conclusion. And Bologan continues the attack very soundly with queen takes on h2, rook e1 check, king g2, rook queen d2 check, king h1, queen e1 check, queen g1, queen h4 check, king g2, queen g5 check, king f1, queen c1 check, king f2, queen d2 check, king f3, queen f4 check, king e2, queen takes on c4 check. Instead of that, for instance, Wojtaszek could have gone for queen takes on f5 and queen f2, but that would have pinned the queen against the king, so obviously that wouldn't have worked out. So after queen c4 check, bishop d3, queen takes on d5 and queen g4, and any more checks that Wojtaszek could have come to light with have vanished into thin air, which leaves white the clear bishop for a pawn up and a completely won endgame. So Wojtaszek resigned, and that, my friends, is how the game was won. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Any comments, questions, criticisms, post those in the comment section down below. Let me know if the sound quality has now at long last started improving or not for you. And last but by no means least, stay carved up for the win, and I'll see you next time. Cheers. Go Vegas!